Heyo! My name is Sarah, and today I'll be doing the book review on The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. Non-spoilers. Right off the bat, I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Through this whole review, I will be calling the main character by his last name because we all know him by his last name, so this book has to deal with President Snow, just when he's just Cornelius Snow, and again I'll be calling him Snow for this whole review because we know him as Snow. And this sets place like 10 years after the whole war with the rebels and everything, so it's been 10 years with the Hunger Games, and it's the first year that we have mentors. Interesting. Now I kind of was interested in reading this book because first of all, I didn't reread the Hunger Games books, so my mind is Donald Sutherland, who portrayed Snow in the movies, which I really enjoyed. So Snow is actually one of my favorite villains, and I was really interested in seeing how he learned his craft to become the man that we all know and feel sour about. And this book just, it was okay. It was okay. It could have been more. I think it could have been, but it was a nice installation, but again, it could have been a little bit more. There were some things that were enjoyable to revisit. Again, the world of Panem, how it's still actually rebuilding itself compared to what we kind of knew what it was in the first Hunger Games book. There's still rules being laid out for the Hunger Games, and Snow, as well as some other students that are picked as mentors, they're coming up with some rules that do play later on. Again, this is the foundation of the Hunger Games, people. We see a lot of things that we remember that was like very young back then, but it becomes very old. And then the rules and stuff, how they're still laying them out, we are familiar with them later on in Katniss's book. So I found that very interesting. I was expecting Snow to be more calculating and very manipulative, especially with his surroundings, because for a while, like the very beginning of the book, he did have the Roman senator mindset, you know, how to gain power, keep power, and take out anything that threatens said power. But then it just kind of went off. So I kind of expected him to have more of that mindset, not to what happens on later. As for his tribute that he gets assigned to, that is irony, District 12, and we have the second main character, Lucy Gray, who I have to say, if things hadn't gone the way that it did in the book, I could see these two being a very powerful duo. Like, he's one side of the coin, she's the other. They could be the perfect match, like, you know, as not conspirators, but as partners. If things had gone the way I imagined, not the way how the book, they could have been the great duo, the great partners that could have led later on. But either way, it went down a different path. I didn't mind it. It was just more like, okay, we'll go down this road. It's not gonna harm anything. Either way, it was, again, all I have to say, it was an okay book. If y'all want to read it, it just brings us back into the world of Panem, but as they are rebuilding it, throwing down the foundation works for the Hunger Games, adding things that we will see later on as y'all decide to go read the first Hunger Games books. For people who have yet to read the books or seen the movies, there's still parts of there from the movies that kind of tie back into the books that you're familiar with. And yeah, that's as far as I can get into non-spoilers. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. 3 out of 5 stars. Bye, non-spoilers! Spoilers. So, like I said, it's been 10 years since the whole rebel war things happened, and everyone's just trying to pick up the pieces for the Capitol. They're kind of acting like it didn't happen to them per se, but through Snow's point of view, he did see the dark sides of what was going on in the Capitol, and in a way he kind of remembers it more freshly, while his friends that are at the academy, who are, you know, the future heirs to great society and everything, it's in the back of their minds, but they don't let it rule them as much. I either completely forgot this or never paid attention, but I was unaware that Tigress and Snow were cousins. For those of you who don't remember, Tigress, she had like a little cameo appearance in Mockingjay, and she was the one that helped Katniss, Gall, and the team hide for the night. And she apparently was one of the people that helped with the fashion parts of the Hunger Games. Well, I it was a surprise that I was like, oh wait, they're cousins? How did that relationship turn sour? And again, this is the first year that they decide to let the mentors participate in the Hunger Games. So it's like, this is gonna be interesting. And again, this is the very first, I guess you could say 50 pages or so, and the part 1 is where Snow had the mentality of a Roman senator: gain power, hold on to power, destroy anything that threatens said power. And you can see how he's, you know, sweet talking, playing on people's vanity and their egos. But we also have, I guess you could say, Snow's antagonist, which is the Dean Highbond, because something happened between Snow's dad and him. We also find out that the Snow family isn't doing so well financially because Snow's dad had invested everything during the war into District 13's military power and all that stuff, but we know how that happened. So their wealth is almost depleted, while someone named Sejanus, his father was from District 2 and he did all his financing into that. Well, Capital 1, thanks to District 2, and now Sejanus' family is part of the capital. Sejanus, he is the one that's completely against Hunger Games, and that doesn't work out so well when his dad, I guess you could say, pays for his son to be a mentor. So Sejanus is the poor, innocent child that was dealt the wrong hand, and he just doesn't know what to do, while Snow is always thinking, you have it good now, why are you fighting this? If I had this chance, I would take it and run. But you know, Sejanus just becomes the unwanted friend of Snow, who eventually does see him as a friend eventually, and that just goes downhill from further on. Now, District 12, because Snow figures that's an insult to his intellect and prestige bloodline. Well, he gets District 12, and it's the female tribute, and that is Lucy Gray. This girl, I knew she was something different because they showed the reaping, and they showed all the people that were there wearing their gray clothes, and when her name was called, she was wearing a rainbow dress, and on live television she put a snake down a girl's dress, and that was interesting. And not only that, when she got up to the platform, she started singing and doing a little jig, and people were not only going along with it, but the peacekeepers weren't stopping this. I mean, they were kind of going along with that. You know, it's the headband episode from Avatar Book 3 when they had the underground party and the guards that do show up, they start doing their little thing and the headmaster tells them to stop. This is it, people. This is what happens. And Lucy Gray is just going along with it, and Snow is like, I can probably work with this. This is where I was saying these two are on two sides of the same coin. Snow with his posh demeanor but knows everything, how the capital works and everything, how to make it play into his own game, while Lucy Gray, she knows how to work a crowd, how to get them on her favor. I'm like, yo, if this isn't a love story, these two can be the ultimate partners. If Lucy Gray survives, dude, I can totally see this working out. She's all colorful rainbows and he is pure white as snow, man. Boom. This is a good working duo. So there's not exactly rules set on how the mentorship is going to work with the Hunger Games. So Snow figures, you know, we got our itinerary. We got to meet our tributes like the following day. How about I just go down to the train station and make a good impression first, and not only have some people see if there's any people down there, but try to get a good bond going with my tribute so we can see how things are going to play out. Are you telling me that Snow was the one in charge of the reforms for the tributes having a nice life before going to the Hunger Games later on? Because how the tributes are treated right now, this being the 10th Hunger Games, I'm like, wow. Because he goes down to the train station, he waits for like a few hours, and the tributes are brought by train in a cattle cart, chained up, wearing what they just had during the reaping. So they were in that car for a couple of days. None of them are looking good. Some of them apparently are sick, and they're chained and they're ushered into a caged carriage to take them and drop them into a monkey house in a zoo for the capital people to see. And they're expected to survive until the Hunger Games. Half of these people aren't even holding on to life, and Snow is witnessing this for, you know, for the very first time. Are you telling me it's gonna be Snow that makes these people's lives a little bit better before going to the arenas later on? I was like, I thought they already had this down, but apparently not. And again, I repeat, Snow and Lucy Gray are the good duo team partnership thing because she works her charms to gain the trust of children, and here's Snow being the gentleman escorting her to the bars and everything, and she's getting down on her knees talking to the children, and we're waving at the camera because the camera crew's there, and it's like they are working it, people. They are getting people on their side, and they're the ones saying maybe you should give them food so they can survive, and eventually kids and families start bringing them a little bit of food. And I'm like, they are perfect for each other as partners. Now we do find out a little bit about Lucy Gray, and I guess a little bit of history on people who weren't part of the districts during the rebellion, because Lucy Gray is part of a group called the Covey, and I figure eventually learning that they were a group of traveler musicians that just went with the wind and everything, and they were pretty much neutral during the whole rebellion, but as Lucy Gray would say on an interview, they just took a wrong turn and ended up which would become District 12, so they were trapped there. And the way she acts during future interviews and stuff, Snow kind of points out that, you know, maybe she wasn't capital to begin with, and some people sympathize with that, while we find out that District 12 doesn't exactly accept her and the remaining Covey people because they're not technically district. So she's kind of stuck in this weird middle, with us laying out the foundation of how these mentorships and everything is working. Again, we really don't have any rules on how this place works, so don't be messing with people and their food, because apparently this book doesn't care on who makes it to the actual Hunger Games, because one of Snow's fellow mentors, because they got the idea from apparently Sejanus, who was bringing food to the tributes to feed them, and Snow, because he wanted to get good publicity, and Tigress wanted to, you know, give some food to Lucy Gray to, you know, show thanks and everything for taking care of Snow. Well, some mentors decide to take on this same idea, but some take it a little too far, because one girl gives her tribute the food, but then she pulls it back like, nah, sit and ask. She does it again, and everyone's thinking, oh, this is so funny, and she's thinking, oh, don't worry, I have everything under control. This tribute grabs a knife, like a butter knife or something for the sandwiches, and kills the mentor. And then the tribute gets gunned down and everything. It's mayhem, it's chaos. But it's like, I thought some people were supposed to live to the arena, and my belief was put down on so many occasions, because this book, oh my god, this book has no problem killing off mentors and tributes before even hitting the Hunger Games arena payday. I'm like, oh my god. And for real, it just gets worse from here on out for both sides of the parties. There was this character that I never felt easy around, and I will be mispronouncing her name through this entire review, because technically her name is Dr. Gall, but for this whole book, in my mind, I kept calling her Dr. Ghoul, and it just stuck, so I will be calling her Dr. Ghoul for this whole thing, so sorry about that. But seriously, this woman. We find out in the book that Dean Highbottom was the one that came up with the Hunger Games, but Dr. Ghoul was the one that she's the gamekeeper. She's the game master, gamekeeper, one of the two. She is the one in charge of overseeing the games, and this woman, don't mess around with her, because she is the one where you think it's insane, but there's something up her sleeve, because she asks these reports, what do you think for certain parts of aspects on the Capitol Hunger Games? What do you think? She asked for these creepy reports. And Snow, after seeing the death of one of his fellow mentors, he and another girl, Clemencia, was supposed to do a report. And again, Snow was the one that basically came up with the future Hunger Games, because I quote, "For the first time, sponsors would be able to buy items. A piece of bread, a chunk of cheese, should be delivered by a drone to a specific tribute. A panel would be established to review the nature and value of each item. A sponsor would have to be a capital citizen in good standing who is not directly related to the games. This ruled out game makers, mentors, peacekeepers assigned to guard the tributes, and any of aforementioned parties' immediate family members. When it came to his idea of betting, he suggested a second panel to create a venue that would allow capital citizens to officially wager on the victor, establish the odds, and oversee the payments to the winners. Proceeds from either program would be funneled towards the costs of the games, making them essentially free for the government of Pan-Am. Snow is basically the founding father to the future Hunger Games that we all know and don't cherish but are familiar with. And it's all because of Dr. Gall asking for her creepy essays. And this is where possible injury / death number 3 happens, because she was like, oops, did y'all bring any extras of y'all's papers? And they're like, no. She's like, oh, well, it's down there. In this case of colorful snakes, could you please retrieve it for me so we can go over the details? Because she's asking, was this a team effort? And they're like, sure. Yeah, we told team effort. And she's like, okay, go retrieve the manuscript for me. And Snow is like, okay, there's parts of it, I'll grab it. And the snakes just slither away. Clemencia, she tries to put her hand in there, and there's like that quick question, like, why aren't the snakes attacking? And Dr. Gall's like, oh, well, these snakes, they mostly work on their sense of smell, and since, you know, they're familiar with something, they'll be okay, but for something that they won't, well, that's a little tricky. In other words, these snakes smelled Snow's scent on the papers, and Clemencia, since she didn't do it, sorry, sweetie, call the medic because she gets bit. And with these being mutations, we don't know exactly how they're gonna work. Even her assistants are like, eh, she'll be fine-ish. Well, she's over here starting to convulse with colorful venom coming out of her body. And Dr. Gall is like, don't lie to me again. Now run along. It's snack time. Please put a 10-yard distance between me and this woman, because I do not feel safe around her. Now we know the capital isn't above pettiness but anything, so they had a funeral. They displayed the body of the tribute that killed the mentor, and they're parading around the tributes that aren't looking so well after the event. And they thought, hey, let's go even further. Let's do, like, you know, a little walk around the arena to where the Hunger Games is going to be, because apparently for the past 10 years going on, they've been in a certain, like, gladiatorial arena. And they get there, and what did the guy say? It's a trap! Because they get there, and someone had planted bombs on the field. It's a minefield, and they were saying because it's basically locked up for the whole year until it's time for the Hunger Games. No one's inspected the arena, so someone placed bombs there, and the mentors and tributes walked on there. So we have death left and right, people. Some are trying to make a run for it, some are calling for help. Snow is getting like a little PTSD flashback because we have a bunch of bombings during the Capitol when the raids were happening and everything, and he's like, what do I do? Lucy Gray does save him, and people rush him to the hospital, and we find out that, first of all, Sejanus, who's falling into the background, his tribute, Marcus, who's from District 2 and kind of knew Sejanus, he made a beeline, and he was the only one that actually got away from the arena and took down into the sewers for escape. As for everyone else, let's see. We have 8 dead tributes and 3 dead mentors, which I believe does take a tally up to 4 later on in the games. So, book, do you have a problem about your tributes and mentors not making it to the finish line, or should I say the start line? Because everyone's dying left and right, people. Snow, are you sure you're safe doing these games? Because apparently Tigris does not. After doing one last get together with Lucy Gray, because the mentors have been getting together to describe plans to tributes who are willing to listen, Snow puts his whole heart into saying that he will make sure Lucy Gray does make it through the Hunger Games, because she said, I need you to have a little faith in me. And this is where I have feeling that this was where the love story ballooned, because I wasn't all for this love story. I mean, like, yeah, you're spending time with her, you feel like a somewhat attraction for her. And you feel like also a sense of kinship. But love story? I really didn't see it. But that's the path that we're going down. And I'm like, okay, c'est la vie. Senator Roman Thinker Snow, and welcome. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for my girl to survive this arena and the Hunger Games. So I'm like, okay. Now it is finally the day of the Hunger Games. The remaining tributes that have survived, because some died of their wounds, some died of their sickness, some aren't even hanging on to dear life. They are brought to the arena. It's being aired. The mentors are at the academy up front with all the stuff that the sponsors have given them, because they got little cufflinks that they'll send. They're testing out the system. But before we can even begin the games, I don't know what optimistic hope I had that this plan would succeed, but it did, because they found Marcus and they kind of hung him up on the game so he can participate. So he is just there, just barely alive, because they tortured him as punishment, and they just threw him out there on a post so he could be officially part of the Hunger Games. So I'm like, Marcus! And the gong goes off and everyone scatters. Literally, this is the whole thing for the Hunger Games. They just like, because how Dean Highbottom told Flickerman that because of the bombing that happened in the arena, is like basically a new foundation, because now tributes have actual places to hide and scope out places and try to see who's gonna make it or not. So it's a new arena within the old arena. Well, at least for Marcus, he gets a mercy kill because one of the tributes gives him a mercy kill. I think her name is Lamina. Because no one can really hear what's going on in the arena because the mics weren't all that good, but they conversed for a second and she gave him a mercy kill, so at least Marcus didn't have to suffer for very long. Now Sejanus, he took a back seat for a lot, because for his ideals on how he was so against the Hunger Games, and after saying Marcus, that kind of sent him over the deep end. Well, this fool, he sneaks into the arena to retrieve Marcus's body. And you know who doesn't like that? Dean Highbottom and Dr. Gall, because they make Snow go in there and retrieve him. So we have near-death experience where not only does Snow have to kill a tribute, but he also gets a form of clarity on how things without the capital will just be in chaos, because the tributes were acting all nice and stuff, or, you know, cooperating to an extent during the whole stay at the capital, but once they're in the arena, all bets are off. They're like just, you know, going for the kill. And he kind of saw that for a moment, and this is where, again, Dr. Gall, you think she has a few screws loose, but she's not that scientist. She's the one that does have a few screws loose with her passion, but she's that smart, sharp individual that foresees things. And just like, you know, how will I put this to work in my benefit? Because this woman, when she tells Snow, I'm like, okay, I don't even want to be within the same building of this woman. I will look at the Hunger Games on the jumbo screen, because she tells him this: without the threat of death, it wouldn't have been much of a lesson, said Dr. Gall. What happened in the arena? That's humanity undressed. The tributes, and you too. How quickly civilization disappears. All your fine manners, education, family background, everything you pride yourself on, stripped away in the blink of an eye, revealing everything you actually are. A boy with a club who beats another boy to death. That's mankind in its natural state. To not only take care of publicity, but also teach Snow a lesson. She did that. This woman. No! No, if we want a new villain in this world that is just as good as Snow as he is in his later days, that is Dr. Gall, people. So if there is actual talk of this becoming a movie, whoever is played Dr. Gall, that's going to be interesting. And she shows appreciation for the rescue of his son. It's not generally directed towards Snow, but Sejanus' father puts up a scholarship for a full ride road to the university, so Snow sees this as his moment to seize if he wins the Hunger Games, because that could be his future, because apparently taxes are being raised. The Snow family isn't making as much money because his grandmam is just up there reliving the good old days, making her flower her rose garden, because that's where Snow gets his roses. And Tyra's trying to keep her job going and everything, and Snow just trying to work things. Well, they're probably, if things don't go out well, they won't have their ancestral home. So that's also a great motive for him to win the scholarship and the Hunger Games. As we get on to, like, I believe day 2, I'm wondering, this book has a thing about killing people off before the Hunger Games and everything, you know, as I've been ranting about. But when did this become Rec? And for those of you who don't know what Rec is, I highly recommend y'all watch it, because it is a really great Spanish film. But when did this become Rec? Because apparently Lucy Gray made an alliance with her fellow tributes, Joseph, and he was a good guy to keep around for, you know, things. But she comes running out of her hiding spot with Jessup chasing after her. And one of Snow's friends, who was actually a really great friend during the whole mentoring thing, she was like, he's rabid. This boy. We knew there was a pest problem in the zoo because we saw rats and raccoons running around. And we actually had a moment where Lucy Gray said that Jessup got bit by something. He just remembered it was furry. But poor Jessup. That's a sad way to go, because Lucy Gray was also there for him as family. At least he had someone he was familiar with, but that was a sad way to go. Now, Snow had to visit the Citadel. That's where Dr. Gould works, and he knows that they were packing up the snakes, and there's like, oh, we're just gonna transport them to another research facility. But he's like, his mind's going all over the place, thinking all these possibilities and everything. He just to make sure that Lucy Gray has the possibility of surviving, and if they actually do possibly release these snakes that attack Clemencia for not recognizing her smell into the arena, he drops a handkerchief that has Lucy Gray's scent. So we're praying that, you know, these snakes don't go to the arena, but if they do, Lucy Gray could have a possibility of surviving. But then Snow's like worried, are they gonna see it? Are they gonna think I'm cheating? But there's no official rules or anything. I could just say that someone else's, or oopsies. I don't know. This is unmarked territory, people. We're just going along with the ride. But what he did think did come true, because, well, the tributes are chilling in the arena because they're just mostly active at nighttime, mostly. Well, the gamekeepers do unleash the snakes. Some make it to high ground at a time, some do not. And Lucy Gray, because they're familiar with her scent, she's kind of like a snake charmer. She's singing to them. They're coming towards her. They're just going along for the song and for the ride. And they're just chilling. So we're like, okay, we could work this. We could just like say she has this affinity for snakes, because she did drop a snake in a girl's dress. Even Dr. Gould took that as inspiration, saying, if your girl does survive, we should trade notes. So that also hinted as to what was going on. And luckily the snakes do die because they're not used to cold, wet environments. Okay, but still everyone's like, okay, new groundbreaking rules for possible future Hunger Games. What should we do? See you later on. And now it's time for a roll call to see who has perished, because apparently Reaper's been keeping all the bodies. He's now lining them nicely in a neat little morgue and everything. So we have Mercy Kill. We have a tag team and betrayal, because we have one tribute working with, I believe it was District 4. Them two people had Trident, so they took out Lamina, but then they took out the other guy. We had rabies that killed Joseph. We had tuberculosis that killed, I believe it was Reaper's tribute partner, so we had that. Killer snakes took out a handful of people. Attack bots, because the tributes from that district got the robots who were sending out the parachutes, and they managed to rewire it to do facial recognition, so they kept attacking one guy, but then that person was killed by a sneak attack. We also had Peacemaker interference, because not only did Snow kill one tribute, but we had some interference by the Peacekeepers. And poison, because one poor girl drank a poison bottle that Lucy Gray, did. So all we now have is Lucy Gray, Treach, and the Reaper. Only 3 people left. So 3 mentors left to get that full-on scholarship. Yeah! But everything gets wrapped up in its final days, because Treach attacks Lucy Gray, but she apparently saved one colorful snake, and it bit the guy, and he did. And she just tired to Reaper out because not only apparently did Jessup spit at him before the night of the game, so he's got a little bit of the rabies, but he just was heat stroking out their poor baby. So she let him chase her around for a little bit, and then he just died. So the underdog won for District 12. Yay, Lucy Gray! That means everything's looking up for snow. Yay, snow! Until Dean Highbottom comes into the picture, and we find out that they knew about Snow feeding Lucy Gray from the academy, which is a no-no. He gave her his mother's little powder packed everything, but Lucy Gray put poison in there. He said he gave it there for her self-confidence boost. You know, he wasn't held responsible for what she put in there. But then they found the handkerchief with his father's initials, so that's deemed cheating, which means he had a sudden self of patriotism towards his country and decided to become a peacekeeper, which is kind of like a demotion. But hey, Sejanus kind of got the same punishment, so they are peacekeepers being sent to District 12. Now this is where I kind of figured that it would have been a good wrap up for the book if we saw, okay, Lucy Gray did survive, Snow got what he wanted at the end of the games, and he could start rebuilding his life after that. But no, because Dean Highbottom had to pull a fast one on us, we got part 3, which is the Peacekeeper. And I was just going through the motions after that, because it's basically Snow complaining about his life now, wondering what's going to happen to Tigris and his grandmother, how is he going to survive now and everything. And hey, at least we got Sejanus in our corner. But after that, it just felt like more of in the motions. We found out that Lucy Gray did survive and everything. She's back at District 12 performing with the remaining members of her family. And we found out about the guy who was the love interest, but now he's all mad and huffing and puffing and everything. And the girl that she put the snake down the dress, that's the mayor's daughter that managed to lie to her dad, the mayor, to get Lucy Gray's name picked. I mean, because we're not checking the paper or anything. He could just say anyone's name and that be it. So that's like a death sentence for Lucy Gray, but she survived and everything. So interesting. Snow is getting into the swing of things of how District 12 is working. They got their bunkmates. He's got Sejanus. He's got Lucy Gray. So he's thinking, and he can also pass the officer's exam, maybe gain a little bit more military prestige, following his father's footsteps, and probably make it live in District 12 with Lucy Gray. Well, that kind of goes down a hill when he sees Sejanus not only talking with Lucy Gray's ex, but he knows that Sejanus also has some money stashed away when he said he didn't have any. So he thought maybe, yeah, he's a nice guy. He kind of defied Dr. Gall. He's like a pacifist, idealist, and all this stuff. He wants to make the district's a better place for everything. He wants to make the world a better place. Until he finds out that Sejanus plans to run away with some people, some rebels, because we had a hanging, and we also find out Lucy Gray was the one that came up with the hanging tree song. But the rebels, they want to break out the lover of the man that died and head up to the north, because there's a rumor, a myth, a legend going on. There's some people that are living out there who are under the control of the capital, and Sejanus basically told Snow, we knew this life wasn't meant for me, maybe I can make it out there. And he was planning to help the rebels get the lover and just beeline it and never be seen again. Well, Snow, he was kind of put in a difficult place, because he actually does have attachments to Sejanus, but at the same time he doesn't want to betray the capital, because during the time he was there, we had some scientists and they were there collecting some jabberjays that they thought had gone extinct, and some mockingjays, because Snow really does not like the mockingjays at all. He considers them like a freak of nature, well, for the jabberjays, possibly redeemable engineering for the capital, so he takes more of a liking to the jabberjays. He really doesn't like the mockingjays. He kind of puts up a hunt for them, but he learns through the scientists how to get the jabberjays to record and repeat messages. So he has a jabberjay record everything that Sejanus is saying, and he feels like very guilty about sending it. But he's like, whatever happens, happens, because that jabberjay is going to the citadel, and he's hoping Dr. Gall hears that. And things just kind of hit a domino effect, because we meet a character that was part of the rebels that wanted to get the lover out. And not only does Snow and Lucy Gray get seen, but Sejanus covers for them because he said this guy is going to be the one that's make sure no one notices that we're doing this. And they're like, what about Lucy Gray? She doesn't want to talk to anyone. The mayor girl shows up, threatens to spill the beans. Well, she gets killed, and the lover boy, who's Lucy Gray's ex, goes a little mad, but then Snow kills them, and the guy that's in charge of this whole op's like, we're not gonna have any problems, are we? And we're like, nope, no one's not gonna notice that we're gone or anything. And he's like, cool, I'll take care of this. Well, he gets found out, and Sejanus and Snow are like, okay, most likely he didn't spill any beans, so it wouldn't benefit him anyway whatsoever. But Sejanus gets arrested, and we find out that the message made it to the Citadel, and Dr. Gould did report it because the commanding officer did tell Snow that this must have been hard, but we see your patriotism towards this country, so my sympathies out to you. But Sejanus and the lover die. Snow does pass the exam, not only with flying colors, but very impressive colors, that he is going to be transferred to District 2 for the exclusive training program. And he's like, wow. Also the same day where him and Lucy Gray decide we're taking our chances in the wild. Yay! So for a second I thought, wait, okay. So he's gonna run away with Lucy Gray, head up north, start a family and everything. Did someone steal his identity or something, saying, yes, I am President Snow, thinking in the back the original died, but no one knows. But that doesn't go, because they find the bag of guns, especially the gun that Snow used to kill one of the people. And he's thinking, if I get rid of this, my life can go back as normal. And at the same time, he was having a conversation with Lucy Gray, saying that he had to kill 3 people in his lifetime. And she's like, who? And he said, because she's like, you killed Bobbin and you killed the other guy, but for our safety. But then who was the 3rd one? He's like, myself, my old self. But Lucy Gray saw through that, and Snow realizes that when she does a return after some time, and she put the pieces together that he killed Sejanus, and that's why she took off. And he found the scarf that she had, so he could always find her, and there's a snake under there. And so I was like, yeah, how can I think that this girl was all soft and everything? She survived the Hunger Games. She did what she had to do to survive. She's a fighter. She's willing to do whatever it takes to live. And that moment just clarifies then and there, while he's trying to find her, she's using the tricks of the Jabberjays and the Mockingjays against them, because she starts singing the Hunger Games song. So not only the remaining Jabberjays are singing the exact lyrics to their own remix, but the Mockingjays are singing the tunes, and he just doesn't like that at all. It's mayhem, it's chaos. He realizes that Lucy Gray is either dead or she's gone. He makes it back to the base in District 12. They say, yeah, the snake just bit you, but it's not poisonous or whatsoever. And if you have any more problems, just tell the people down at District 2, because you're leaving for there, aren't you? And he does go, but instead of going to District 2, he's sent to the capital and escorted to the Citadel, and he meets Dr. Gall. And she's like, well, the summer was a great learning lesson for you, wasn't it? Great vacation. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Snow, you had honorable discharge, and you also have enough time to begin your studies at the university. I believe this vacation was a great learning lesson. She planned this whole thing, this whole freaking time. She purposely sent Snow, after talking with Dr. Highbomb, to become a peacekeeper. Knew he would go down to District 12 and learn things, because he found out that the districts need the capital to survive for all law and order. If not, that would be total chaos, because he saw that going down at the hub every now and again. And he knew what had to be done for the sake of the capital with Sejanus. And in another way, he killed his love for Lucy Gray and put himself first. And it's like, she even took him as an intern, and she's like, this was a very important learning lesson, wasn't it? Just like how it was in the arena. What did we learn about this, Snow? And he's like, you knew? And she's like, yes. Now, let's prepare for the fall. You have many classes to learn. This woman. No! Again, if this does go into production for a film, this actress that's gonna play Dr. Gall, she has a role waiting for her. Now we get to the epilogue where he does start referring to himself as Snow. Previously it was always Cornelius this, Cornelius that, but now he's going as Snow. He is learning so much at his at the university. He's also like learning things military wise. He is learning a bunch of things at the Citadel as Dr. Gall's intern. He's also named the heir to the Plinth dynasty, who is Sejanus's family, because, you know, they lost a son, he lost his family, we can help things out. They're also helping, they rebought the apartment for Snow, Tigris, and his grandmother. They're helping them financially and everything. Snow's also learning the way of business, and it's like, so the way how he was thinking in the epilogue was how I was expecting him to think through the whole book. And we end off with him meeting Dr. Highbottom, returning some things to Sejanus's, throwing away some medicine that he had because he did get wounded in the arena, and just asking, why did you hate me so much? And it was because Dr. Highbottom hated Snow's dad, and we wondered that why, and it's because at the time when Dr. Gall was teaching him and Snow's father, she wanted to figure out a way how the districts can remember not to oppose the capital. And by doing so, Snow's dad got Dean Highbottom so drunk he came up with the Hunger Games, the most vilest punishments ever. But when he sobered up, he's like, wait, I don't want this to happen. Well, too late. Snow's dad gave the paper to Dr. Gall for a good grade, and ever since then it just played into her own personal hobbies that she always liked, and Dean Highbottom had no choice but to go along with it as the founder of the Hunger Games. So that's why he never liked the Snows. It's like, so it was this personal vendetta that made Snow's life so miserable at the academy. Well, at the end, Snow got the last laugh because the medicine that Sejanus always took, well, he threw that away in the trash can, as well as returning the diploma to Dean Highbottom, saying, you probably don't want a traitor connected to the academy. Well, he knew that Highbottom would take the medication, so what Snow did is that he swapped it out for poison. So Dean Highbottom became his first victim to poisoning, which would become Snow's trademark later on in the years. And also at the end, we find out through Snow that the Hunger Games was wiped by Dr. Gall. So not many people got connection to what was going on in further districts, only the capital mainly. And they will keep into play the whole sponsorships and everything. But we find out that Lucy Gray will eventually become a distant memory, because no one besides the older generation will remember her, and finally those people will die off, and so she'll just become part of the wind, part of the song that she's like named after. And Snow finds that's a good thing, because, you know, the love that he had for her made him weak. And that's the end of my spoilers. I found it interesting how we got the mentors happening in the 10th Hunger Games with Snow. Part of, like, you know, the founding fathers for how the mentorship works. Dr. Gall was iffy about continuing it on later on, but Snow apparently brought it back. He learned a lot of things from how this worked. He came up with a lot of stuff. He came up how the tributes would get sponsors and everything. He eventually did come up with Victor's Valley. So I found that very interesting. The epilogue mindset of Snow, I was expecting that to be the whole mindset through the whole book, but no, Suzanne Collins went through the love route, so it's like, okay. Part 3, I felt, again, just going with the motions. I really didn't have a feel for it. Seeing the Hunger Games through the mentors, we could feel their anxiety just a bit, but it would have been interesting to see more of what was going on, because we found out that they're underground tunnels, so maybe you could have seen what was going on, but then again, they're still working out the technology, how it will work for future Hunger Games. Lucy Gray, I liked her as a character. She had that personality that you could latch onto. Again, if there was just like a friendship, a partnership, a famous duo, her and Snow could have been really great together. She could work the media, he could work the politics. Boom, there. All in all, it was a good read. I didn't mind it. It was a great pass of the time. It's a big book, I will say that. So you have plenty of time to get through it. It was a great installation to the Hunger Games. It could be a great introductory for people who haven't read it. It could be a great blast from the past for people who have read the trilogy. If they do go into production to make this into a film, they would be very interesting on how they would play it, because it would be more of the Hunger Games, more of the mentors. And yeah, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. 3 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!